Thank you, Eddie. Well, Clarenville's women's facility has been bursting at the seams in recent months, now reaching a boiling point. Throughout the month of February, an average of 36 women were being held at the facility when the capacity is just 26. So government has taken an unusual measure tonight, announcing plans to temporarily house some female inmates at Her Majesty's Penitentiary in St. John's. NTV's Ryan Harding joins us live with more on our top story. Ryan?
Thank you very much, Lynn. That's right. No, they're using the term temporary. How temporary? Well, we're not too sure, but here are some facts. We heard it off the top. In Clarenville, they housed 26 females at any given point this month. There was an average of 36 in-house. On top of that, 8 to 9 were in the St. John's lockup. So you do the math there. There's some definite overflow. Over the last month or so, there have been some renovations at HMP and the intermittent unit, so that's where people go to do the weekends shift there at the penitentiary. And the hope is to get 14 women from Clarenville into that section of the penitentiary. Now, that is going to take extra staff, 2 staff a shift at HMP, which is already, of course, coming to controversy with understaffed there. The penitentiary itself holds 175 inmates, and that right now sits at 173. So again, if you do the math, it really just is, like you said, busting at the seams. Now, Minister Andrew Parsons made himself available to the media today, and he said that, he used the word hopefully. This should take 1 to 2 months, but he wasn't really willing to say if it would go much longer than that. One thing he did say, though, was this is not ideal, but it's the best they can do right now.
Best of the options that presented itself based on the fact that, we've got a place that's full out there and it was a danger to inmates and to our staff. That being said, this department will continue to work on what are other options here going forward. That's a process that, again, I've been doing, being very new to this, and asking these questions already on our facilities across the province. So we'll continue to look at it. It's hard to put a date on. It's a situation that's fluid. I'd like to think that it's short term, but I also think that we have to put measures in place in case this goes longer than the hopeful anticipated period.
So again, some of those timelines that we're talking about is in 1 to 2 weeks is when the 14 women will move in. Hopefully, and the key word is hopefully, 1 to 2 months is how long that'll last, potentially more. Jerry Rogers opened up and made herself available for her opinion. She says this goes beyond right now. This shouldn't be short term. They should be looking long term, and that this goes far beyond just shuffling around a few inmates.
Well, I think moving a few women to HMP is not going to solve the problem. We have a huge problem happening that has been building, and it's not brand new. It's not all of a sudden, of overcrowding at all of our facilities in the province. The lockups are all bursting at the seams. All the prisons are bursting at the seams. A lot of people are on remand. And what's happening is that we don't have a bail supervision program. So we have people who are on remand who are in because of breaches. A lot of people are in because of drug-related crimes. They're not getting treatment inside. And the courts are also backed up.
Now, Minister Parsons mentioned that before any decisions were made, they did reach out to multiple women's groups as well as NAPE. And he took a tour of the penitentiary with Advisory Council for the Status of Women, Linda Ross, today. And they met and spoke about that. So I'm sure we will see plenty of reaction pour in over the coming days. Lynn?
Thank you very much. NTV's Ryan Harding reporting live this evening.
Welcome back, everyone. In the Carter File tonight, the provincial government has a problem at the facility where female inmates are housed in this province. It is badly overcrowded, and that has forced the government to take measures that might come with some controversy. Some of those female inmates are going to be housed at Her Majesty's Penitentiary, which, of course, is a prison for men.
This is not a decision that we wanted to be here making today. It's not the ideal situation, but you're faced with circumstances. You find yourself in them, and you have to make a decision. And this was the best option of the ones considered by far.
So the situation in Clarenville has become that untenable that you have to take at least 10, maybe 14 inmates out of there?
That's right. They have a capacity of 26. Right now it's at a historical high of 36. And, I've looked at numbers over the last number of years. I met with the superintendent of prisons. And, this is an anomaly. This is not something that they've seen for such, this has been going on for a couple of weeks now. So we've looked at the options within the system, talked to people within the institutions, also talked to people with the John Howard Society, and talked to Linda Ross with the Provincial Advisory Council, talked to NAPE. and made the decision that this is the best step going forward. So we'll take the necessary steps to get this facility ready for bringing female prisoners and move forward with that.
What kind of security initiatives do you have to take to make sure that it is suitable for female prisoners?
Well, it's again, where it is already housing intermittent prisoners, it's got the security side there. I think it's a case of just making sure, because we're going to have a segregation, obviously, of males and females. So it'll be, you know, female guards there, and I think there's some infrastructure changes, a new door, some plumbing that has to be done, things like that. And it's not anticipated it's going to take a long time. I'm hearing, you know, 1 to 2 weeks. And we'll be ready to make that move. So it's nothing, nothing huge, we'll say.
Is there anything to guarantee that this will only be a temporary measure?
Well, I'd like to think it is. I mean, it's something right now, this was the step we had to take to ensure the safety of our staff that work out in Clarenville, as well as our inmates. You know, this was a step that was necessary. I'd like to think it's temporary. But that being said, we're going to have to consider, you know, if this is the trend that's going to continue on, we have to look at that. The other side of this, though, is that, you know, I want to look at the front end of this. We're dealing with the back end of our problem. We should be looking at the front end. Why do we find ourselves in a situation where we're having these historical highs in prisoners, both male and female? You know, we're talking mental health, addictions. So that's a conversation that's been happening. But, again, we had to look at that as well.